Richard Buell. When the Unitarian Universalist Association falsely accused me of blasphemous libel, they were trying to intimidate me into taking down blog posts about Reverend Mac Wallace Mitchell and Richard Buell, both of whom had been charged, tried, and convicted of the rape of children. In the case of Richard Buell, he raped preteen girls, so accurately described as a pedophile rapist. In the case of Reverend Mac Wallace Mitchell, he raped a teenage Tibetan refugee. He was convicted of raping one teenage Tibetan refugee who had the courage to go all the way to court. But it's clear that there were other victims. She wasn't the only one. There was at least 2 other victims that I'm aware of. So he wasn't a pedophile rapist per se, because the victims were teenagers. He could be described as a hebephile rapist. But nonetheless, the fact of the matter is that the Unitarian Universalist Association clearly, good morning, clearly tried to conceal the truth even after these people were charged, tried, and convicted, sent to jail, and this was reported in newspapers. My blog posts were calling attention to that. They were amplifying that. And they wanted them gone. They wanted to decrease as much as possible the amount of public awareness of this. As if that wasn't bad enough, UUA moderator Jim Key, who I like to refer to as James See No Evil Key, his middle initial C, so you get the pun there. He delivered what was supposedly a UUA board official apology for clergy sexual misconduct during the 2014 General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association. So this is the big annual general meeting of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Usually, 3,000 or 4,000 Unitarian Universalists attend these big annual meetings, and various issues are dealt with. And in the middle of Jim Key's moderator's report, he inserted what he described as a official UUA board apology for clergy sexual misconduct. Personally, I think it was inappropriate to insert that apology into the middle of his moderator's report. And he was especially in the first part of it, he was cracking all kinds of jokes. People were laughing. So people are laughing, and then boom, they come into this so-called apology for clergy sexual misconduct. So very, very inappropriate way of apologizing. But it gets worse, because the apology itself was atrocious. He minimized the extent and seriousness of the clergy sexual misconduct. He said only a few ministers were guilty of clergy sexual misconduct, when in fact literally hundreds of Unitarian Universalist churches have been affected by clergy sexual misconduct of one kind or another. I mean, it's not all pedophilia and rape. That's actually a fraction of it. But it's mostly ministers, making unwanted sexual advances on women and so on. It's ministers having affairs, if you want to use that term. Basically having sexual relations with their congregants, often in a manner that's what's the word? Adulterous. That's the word I'm looking for. So, ministers having affairs with the wives of, husbands of their, male congregants, So essentially, pretty scurrilous stuff, but not necessarily criminal level sexual misconduct. But anyway, according to Jim Key, only a few ministers were guilty of this kind of thing, when in fact literally hundreds of Unitarian Universalist congregations had been affected by this at one time or another, and in one form or another. So that was basically a lie, essentially. Again, he kept it sort of vague in terms of what the sexual misconduct was. Certainly did not address, pedophilia or rape committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers. I'm not sure if he even mentioned the adulterous nature of some of these sexual misconduct. As I said, ministers, having affairs with the wives of congregants and so on, basically cuckolding their congregants. And it got worse. At a certain point, Jim Key said, "There were no incidents of abuse of elders or children in my investigations." I believe that's an exact quote, or a very close to exact quote. So one more time, and I'll reverse the order in case I got the order wrong. There were no incidents of abuse of children or elders in my investigations. I'm pretty sure he said elders first, but he definitely said children. So he's essentially saying, I investigated Unitarian Universalist clergy sexual misconduct personally, and I found no evidence of sexual abuse of children or elders in my investigations. This is a complete, brazen, bald-faced lie. I had personally told Jim Key about the case of Reverend Mac Wallace Mitchell, so he was aware of it.
Nice day.
You too. It's always a nice day to be accused of blasphemy in the 21st century.
You know where I can get a coffee for free?
For free?
Yeah.
Not really. The cheapest place would be the McDonald's. There's a McDonald's up there. You might get one for $1 or something.
Yeah,
I don't think I have any change on me. If I had, you know what? You might be a lucky guy. Feeling generous this morning. So you can go get yourself a coffee. There's a McDonald's up at the Sherbrooke Street.
Thank
up
you,
there.
I appreciate that. We'll give you back.
So, anyhow, what was I going to say? I sort of lost my train of thought there. We were talking about Jim Key. Yeah, Jim Key brazenly lying about the sex abuse of children by Unitarian Universalist ministers, to say nothing of Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers, because they weren't part of the apology. It was strictly ministers, when in fact a certain number of Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers and other lay leaders are, guilty of various kinds of sexual misconduct, even sex crimes such as pedophilia and rape. So yeah, just what I call a sorry excuse for an apology that contained outright lies about the sexual abuse of children by Unitarian Universalist ministers. Please note the plural. It wasn't just Reverend Mac Wallace Mitchell. There were others, even others that were charged, tried, and convicted of sex crimes. So that's it. Brazen lie on the part of Jim Key. And he got away with it too. I called him on it, and I wrote to the UUA board and so on and demanded that they, tell the truth and so on, and they stubbornly refused, just like they've stubbornly refused to withdraw the false accusation of blasphemous libel and apologize for it and tell the truth. The main thing is that they need to tell what the actual truth is regarding such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers and Unitarian Universalist Sunday school teachers at minimum. I think we could leave out the lay people because they're not necessarily, institutional people per se, but certainly any and all Unitarian Universalist ministers who've been charged, tried, and convicted of pedophilia and or rape or other forms of sexual abuse of children, such as being involved in child porn in one way or another. And there are some, both ministers and Sunday school teachers, religious educators, arrested and convicted of child porn issues. The church has to tell the truth about this. And it has to tell the truth about the fact that it tried to conceal it and cover it up and hide it, even after they were convicted and sent to jail and so on. And that hasn't happened yet. So that's one of the reasons why we're here with these picket signs. So I'm just going to check the time. It's getting windier. And we're still recording. Just got about 3 minutes left in the second segment of this recording. think we're going to wrap it up soon. So just to wrap it up, it is Sunday, the 14th of November, 2021. It is Remembrance Sunday in Great Britain, and possibly here as well. And I essentially, today the emphasis is on the repression, SPVM police repression, not just SPVM, but Quebec Crown prosecutors, Quebec court judges, because so far it's only been Quebec court judges who have involved themselves in, essentially finding me guilty of crimes that I wasn't actually guilty of, and suppressing my protest. It hasn't got to the level of superior court judges or appeals court judges finding me guilty. And in fact, the Superior Court judge recently found me not guilty of the breach of conditions conviction that Quebec Court Judge Dennis Galliatis handed down to me, and for basically asking Montreal Mayor Valérie Plante a question about the very questionable behavior of her deputy mayor, Montreal Unitarian Sue Montgomery, on March 18th of 2018. The videos are up there, and I think we're pretty well done with our little monologue today and with our protest, at least for now. Got about a minute and a half of recording time left, so I just wanted to make that final point. So again, Canadian soldiers fought and died in World War II and other wars to defend democratic rights and freedoms. That SPVM police officers, Quebec Crown prosecutors, Quebec court judges trample all over at the behest of Montreal Unitarians who are seeking to suppress this very peaceful protest against clergy abuse outside their extremely hypocritical Unitarian Universalist church. Or, well, they say Unitarian, but it's all part of the same Unitarian Universalist religious community. So that's it. We're pretty well done here. Just got a few seconds of recording time left. We'll just have a look at the signs here so we know exactly which church we're talking about in terms of Montreal Unitarians misusing the SPVM police force and the criminal justice system to suppress a very peaceful protest against clergy abuse, etc.